Coming up next on Headline Humboldt, City Manager Miles Slattery, Eureka's chief executive, gives us an update on the search for a permanent police chief and how the city is pivoting to help make the future much brighter for this Victorian seaport. Also, we have a new mayor, sort of. After the filing deadline passes, only one candidate qualifies for the race, and it's a name familiar to everyone. Coming up now on Headline Humboldt. From our studio on the top of Humboldt Hill, this is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Falk. Thanks for joining us. It's that time of year again when our kids ditch their summer clothes and suntan lotion to don backpacks and Velcro binders. What were the wild and happy faces of carefree kids freed of class schedules and due dates is gradually transforming into the haunted aspect of new students awaiting their academic sentences. It's been a great summer. Hours spent by the pool or lounging around the hotel room while reading a ridiculously thick novel were well spent and add much needed psychological cushion to help us all withstand the bumps and bruises we're certain to face in real life come fall. When I was a kid, my parents often reminded me that in their eyes, kids had it easy. If you think school is stressful, they'd tell me, try working for a living. Don't get me wrong, I get that balancing a checkbook can be stressful, especially with prices on the rise and more money going out than ever coming in. But after having gone through childhood myself and having now raised several kids, I want to remind parents that stress is entirely relative. Kids wrestle with different issues, but they're wrestling just the same. They want to succeed, but they also want to have fun. They want to fit in, but they also want to be unique. Their life is often a quilt of conflicting ambitions and hormonal motivations that make little to no sense at all, and as a result, they struggle with the deepest sorts of issues surrounding identity and purpose. It's been a confusing and irregular few years, with COVID disrupting much of the normal educational schedule and leaving social bonds frayed by that chaos. So please be patient with your kids. Allow them room to breathe and learn what they want to learn, while also figuring out how to meet expectations and build the kind of life they'll savor when they get to be your age. I'm telling you this not to preach, but to remind myself that patience for other people, patience for the ones you love, frees them to make their own way in a world that too often smothers us all with cultural expectations and the fear of failure. Enough already. And now the interview. Eureka City Manager Miles Slattery is with us in the studio today. We're going to talk about the hunt for the police chief and all the other business going on in Humboldt County's biggest city. So how you doing, Miles?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, good. Thanks for coming down.
Of course.
So let's start with some of the big business, I guess. You guys have been hunting for a police chief. You currently have a interim chief in Todd Jarvis. He's been doing it for months now, at least. How's that going, and how is the search unfolding at this point?
It's been going well. It has been just over 6 months, I believe, and we've been working with a recruiting firm and having discussions. You know, Todd's working out very well. He's been very well received at EPD. I think.
Is he in the running for the job? Can I ask that?
That'll be up to him. Okay. We should be having some news coming out soon related to this. But yeah, he really enjoys the area. He's been a really good fit for EPD. He's out and about in the community. Yeah, he's out and about in the community all the time. You can see him tonight at Friday Night Markets. He'll be out there, and Captain Stevens. And so he's been a good fit. And you know, we're working with our management staff and having discussions about how we're going to proceed next.
Yeah, as city manager, you oversee the police department, right? I mean, you're sort of the boss.
Yes.
I mean, there's been some issues, I mean, over the last couple of years. I mean, nothing major, but there was the text message exchange and those sorts of things. And then now there's a new chief, and the departure of the old chief wasn't related to the text messaging thing. And I talked to former Chief Watson about that and had a very good conversation. But do you have any concerns about cultural issues from that? And do you feel like the new chief is going to have that problem to kind of, fix, or has that been resolved to your mind?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely been addressed. I can assure you that. I think that we're doing a lot of work with diversity, equity, and inclusion with a consultant from down south that we're doing a lot of work with them, having a lot of training and having those tough discussions that need to be had. And while people don't come out and just say that they're that way, so well, it's not just the police. With any staff member that you have. You don't really know until it happens. Yeah. But I can assure you that we're putting everything in place to make sure that doesn't happen. I think that Todd's brought a good perspective on that, and I think that the conversations that we've had, because it's been tough. I mean, the social injustice stuff, those type of things that have been, it's hard on the morale of our police force, and they take pride in what they do. I can tell you what, that texting was not indicative of our police force, that's Absolutely. For sure. And I think that from their perspective, it was very hard for them.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're getting painted with a brush by a couple of bad apples, and that can be frustrating, I'm sure. The process for hiring a police chief is basically you conduct the interviews and then present candidates to the city council, is that right?
Yeah, I make the decision. I obviously consult with city council, and previous interview processes have been pretty elaborate. We've had a community group, a business group, city management group, and basically established different groups that went through the interview process for all of the individuals. So we haven't figured out exactly what that looks like yet.
How many applicants?
A bit likely. We haven't put it out yet.
Okay.
So we'll know in the future. We don't have it posted yet.
Excellent. Now, one of the things that the city has implemented is a civilian oversight board, right? For the last 2 quarters, I think, or something like that?
Yes.
How has that gone, and do you feel like that is, I think we actually spoke of that when you were here the last time. How do you think that's going, and is that, often you hear about conflicts between a civilian oversight board and the police department. Are you finding that in any way, or how is it going?
No, it's been really good, and that's where Todd's brought a lot of experience in that. He was the liaison for San Diego Police Department when he was down there for their oversight board, and they have a pretty long-standing oversight board down there.
So he was the department's representative to that board?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, and so he's helped a lot when we crafted the ordinance and when we hired the independent police auditor and those type of things. We have an independent police auditor that works all over the nation, and it's been good. It's been very clear to us that you're not a modern a modern police force without an oversight board, and I think that EPD in the city welcomes the oversight, and we actually have 2 vacancies if anybody's interested right now. Okay. We make sure that all of our agendas go out to community-based organizations. We always have a standing item on the agenda for community-based organizations to come and talk. Like you said, we've only had 2 meetings. We do them quarterly. So we've adopted bylaws and done the stuff that we need to do just from an administrative standpoint, and we'll get more into reviewing policies and investigations and those type of things, upcoming.
Yeah. If someone's interested, should they just contact the city clerk, or?
Yep.
Okay.
Contact Pam Powell, 441-4175.
441-4175. Now, I remember reading the story a while back, and I never got to ask you about it or even really follow up on it, but there was a report of a surveillance cam in Old Town where on a pole or something that the police had put up without permission. Was that story what it was cracked up to be, or what happened there?
Well, we have cameras and have had cameras on our facilities for a very long time. We haven't put them in public spaces like that, but with the previous police chief, we, as most police departments have, we had staffing issues. And so we did a pilot program with a company called Lock Cop, and we leased or rented these mobile security cameras and used them at different locations where we were having high, calls for service and high issues of vandalism, those type of things, illegal dumping, and used them at different locations. And so over that time frame of 6 months and trying them out, we saw a dramatic decrease in those calls for service, as well as, vandalism and those type of things.
Because of the cameras?
Yes.
Excellent.
And so as a part of that, then we figured out, okay, well, we can get some stationary ones. I can say that the location that was chosen for that pole was unfortunate and was not intended.
Because the gazebo, is that right? Or?
Yeah, that is one of the areas where we have a lot of calls for service. It was just the prominence of it in that location there. I think the loco did a pretty good job of lambasting us with the Eiffel Tower and other things.
They do that.
A good story about that was one of my coworkers is in a Rotary group, and they meet at Old Town Coffee and Chocolates, and this employee walked out, and one of their members turned to that employee and said, "Who's installing a cell phone tower in front of the gazebo?" And that was the first time that this employee had seen it there, and it was shocking. Well, it's not shocking. I mean, we did not know it was going to go there.
Yeah.
And so it was miscommunication, but it will be going back up again.
Same place or a different area entirely?
It'll go in a different area.
Okay.
But it'll be in the gazebo, yeah.
Now, some people raise concerns, constitutional concerns about surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
How do you answer that?
It's not surveillance. It's a tool for us to use. We're not monitoring it 24 hours. There's a lot of Beverly Hills, you'd be amazed. They have thousands of cameras throughout their whole entire community.
Yeah, a lot of cities do.
And they sit down and have staff monitoring. And we don't have the staff nor the time to do that. This is the reason why we got these, is because we don't have the staff. But it's been effective as a deterrent, and then it's also been used in other areas where not only to address investigations of some sort of crime that may have happened, but it has exonerated people from other things too. So we aren't in the business of surveilling, and we have adopted the policy that basically dictates what the cameras are used for, who has access to them, and those type of things. It's not any intention of
no Big Brother kind of.
Yeah.
Now, but if you're not monitoring
well, I mean, the cell phones, that's what was odd to me when we had these conversations in the public forum, when there's,
we're all
a lot
around.
of things. Yes, we're all carrying those things around, and anywhere you go, as many police officers know, that everybody's got a camera and they're always videoing. So
exactly.
I understand the concern, and we understood that's why we adopted the policy. But one of the concerns was to kind of deter people's freedom of speech, and that they may not feel comfortable there. Well, almost all of our protests happen out in front of the courthouse, and let me tell you, the courthouse has lots of cameras on it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but so if you're not going to use it as surveillance, it's basically, if you hear a report of a crime happen, you can look at the camera to see if you have proof of it, or some sort of people passing by that fit the description, or things like that.
Yeah, and maintenance issues too. I mean, that, a perfect example is the gazebo. The Old Town restrooms, tend to attract, a lot of vandalism, and so when we have that, we have an ability to.
So you may be able to finally identify the suspect who keeps putting soap into the gazebo drain or whatever.
that's staff. We do that.
Oh, you do that?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys are in the process, and we just mentioned it at the start of the show, but we have a new list of candidates coming down the pike. And I know that for the city staff, every time that there is a swearing in and a change of administrations, I guess, it's kind of a challenge and a process of adapting to the new leadership. What does that look like from your end, and how do you handle bringing on fresh blood to the city council? I mean, obviously, you're kind of the executive, so you're the CEO to the board of directors, right? I mean, how does that affect your job?
The season itself is always interesting. We get a lot of
the silly season.
We call it the wacky season. Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's all. But once in place, we have procedures. They get a book that basically tells them all of the ins and outs of being a council member prior to them applying. Well, when they apply and when they get approved, and then once they get in, we do a candidate forum, and we bring all of our management staff of each of the department heads and describe our roles and responsibilities so they have an understanding of that.
Yeah.
Once they are elected and put into office, we send them to training as far as, Brown Act requirements and people understanding the public meeting process, and understand, just the ins and outs of being a council member. Yeah. And then, it's a lot of, some come, that have been to other agencies that have done it, whether it be a school board or something like that follow similar protocols. So,
Robert's Rules of Order or whatever.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's typically what we do. It's funny because, there's a lot of thought process that, they're going to come in and make all these drastic changes. Some people have that in you know, as their mission and ambition to do that. But, you know, I've always said, you know, you always have to count to 3, and that's what makes it work. And so I think I've been around for 16 years with the city, 17 now, and we've had some interesting council makeup, and I can tell you that more recently it's been civil and there's a give and take. They don't always agree, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's not, we've had instances in the past where, because, you know, a topic comes up and it's clear that it's beneficial, but since it's brought up by one side, the other side automatically opposes it. Yeah.
That's kind of the state of things across the country in a lot of ways right now. I have a lot of questions. I mean, one thing that recently was in the news was the Dolos, right? Those were saved by some heroic efforts on the part of Mr. Zerlang and the city.
Yes.
So they'll now be moved to the Mattakit Plaza, right? How important is it? I mean, obviously, was the city caught flat-footed on that, or did you guys have that kind of knowledge or the concern to kind of preserve it even before it came out?
The whole intent was, and that was the original direction from council, was to first try and work with the property owner to see if it works with their development, and second, if not, then we needed to find a new location for it. So we had that intention and just never ever thought that the cost to relocate it would be so much. Part of the problem was the location that we wanted to go to, which was the Coast Guard Park, which is on Wabash and Broadway.
The little grassy knoll right across the street.
Exactly. And the big problem with that was basically shutting down the road. You'd have some significant costs associated with traffic, you know, safety and those type of things. So, you know, we didn't want to destroy it, but when you look at $50,000 that was given the cost for that, and you know, it's not typical that the city goes out and say, hey, donate your time, and they come running, but Leroy had those connections and was able to make those connections and save a significant amount of money. I
mean, it's a perfect fit for with the Mattakit and what it's got going on historically and culturally, and with what the Dolos represents, right?
Yep. And so thanks to North Coast Fabricators and Kernan Construction. Kernan provided the transportation, and North Coast Fabricators provided the hoist to put it onto that transportation. So that worked out great. And right now, as a matter of fact, this weekend, I believe New Life Services is going to be out there, power wash it and make it look as
good as it can.
Almost as new.
That kind of provides a transition into the waterfront development plan. I haven't covered this at all, but I see that it's taken up some significant city effort and thought. I mean, what is that, and where is it in development? How do you see that affecting the evolution of Eureka into the future?
So the intent of it is to kind of have like a pre-permitting area, similar. It's not quite the gateway plan like Arcata's, but it's got that same idea, basically coming up with what the community wants to see in Old Town, what kind of infill development, what does that look like? And so we went through, I believe, 4 or 5 public meetings, and now we're in the process of, and then we went to council and got some feedback from them, and now we're in the process of going to different stakeholder groups, all of our boards and commissions, you know, Eureka Main Street, Chamber of Commerce, those type of things, get their feedback. That'll all be incorporated into this, and what it'll do is it'll allow for the city to have basically the pre-permitting, the CEQA necessary for that. It'll be streamlined, so when developers come in, they can utilize that and, you know, streamline the development process.
It'll take care of that regulatory section as a one unit rather than each individual project.
Yes.
Excellent. There seems to have been, I mean, when I first started covering Eureka a long time ago, there was a lot of effort to kind of revitalize Old Town. Redevelopment was the thing of the day back in those days. And we got the boardwalk, and there was, Fisherman's Terminal building was in the air, and it seems like that momentum stopped and stalled. What happened there over the 10 years? I know that you weren't city manager then, but can you give us any insight of what happened in the, there was a lot of development and changes, and then there hadn't been much.
Well, redevelopment went away. The state got rid of redevelopment, and so that was a good funding source for that. I'd also say that the city's, shouldn't really, but the finances for the city were not in a good spot during that time frame. I mean, I first started with the city in 2006. From 06 all the way up until this past fiscal year, really, maybe 2 fiscal years ago, we were constantly cutting. We were having budget cuts, the whole time. I think that's significantly changed now. We have we have the largest amount of development in Eureka right now this summer going on than I've had in the 16 years that I've been here.
Wow.
So I mean, we have England Marine's building a new facility. We have ACGC's got the new the mixed-use property across from Los Bagels going on. Danco's building the 37 units. The hotel on where the Dolo used to be is going to be start going. So it's a lot of development, a lot of investment in the city, and we've gotten a lot of calls for people who want to invest more in the city. So it's a good sign.
What do you think is driving that interest?
I think a lot of it has to do with their housing, but a lot of it has to do with just people being more creative. I mean, Will Adams is the one who did the ACGC. He's got another property. He plans on doing another, mixed use with residential and office space on it. So I think it's good. I think that our finances as a city have never been better. We're actually getting road work done.
I was going to ask you about that. We talked about it before the show, but when COVID was going on, there was a lot of concern about how COVID would impact city finances. Where are we at, and how did we end up in such a healthy spot?
So when we did fiscal year 1920, which is the year that COVID happened, our initial, we do estimated actuals and what we're going to be spending and figure out for our budget for that year. We had certain amounts of revenue projected coming in, and then in March of 20, COVID hit. We made significant reductions to those estimates during a mid-year process. And then when we had our audit, it came back that our numbers were actually higher than when we initially put in there. So certain industries obviously were more affected than others, but others did really well.
So we planned to do worse than we actually did, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And even did better than what we had expected before we even knew what a pandemic was.
Wow. So you outstripped the original projections.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
So that was amazing, and I think it's because of our location. I think that our TOT over the time frame, COVID obviously took a hit, but right after that, people wanting to come to an area like Eureka, it was
TOT
very
is
important.
transient occupancy tax.
Yeah. So our hotel tax basically has broken records. 17-18 was our highest TOT, and in last fiscal year we smashed that at like over 3 million, and then right now we're projected to go even higher than that.
Wow. That's all good news.
Yes.
We have about a minute and a half left, a little bit less. I wanted to point out that last time we talked, we were very enthusiastic about the Skywalk getting completed, and it's been completed. And while I haven't been, my wife and kids have gone and said it's wonderful.
I cannot believe you haven't been there, brother.
I'm a busy guy, I know. But so there's that, and I want to give you a chance to say what you feel about that. But then also there's some planning in the works for the road right in front of Sequoia Park that make it one way. Is that right?
So it was a demo. We'll go with this. Well, we'll finish with good news. So the one way was a demo. We did a very similar demonstration on 7th Street with the intent of, safety, adding bike lanes, and some parking on Dole Beer. And so this has been a concept that's been kicked around for a long time. And since we were doing the paving job there and the striping, we figured it would be a good time to do a demo. We did a survey. We had 900 responses. We're going through those responses right now and going to be coming to council with a discussion about that.
Okay.
I don't, it'll be up to council as to whether or not we proceed with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, while there is a lot of negative feedback, there's a lot of positive feedback because people use that as a recreation area because it's 1 mile around there, so people walk around there. And as far as the Skywalk, it's been a game changer. The investment that the Lodging Alliance has made in this has definitely proven to be successful. That TOT that we're talking about has been outstanding, and right now we're doing the new bear exhibit, so just below the exhibit for the Skywalk there'll be a new bear exhibit that you can kind of walk over the top of them, but within the first week, I believe, or 2 weeks of it being open, we had visitors from every single state in the United States over that time frame.
The destination that Eureka's been waiting for.
Yes.
We're out of time. Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you coming down and making yourself available.
Anytime, I appreciate it.
All right. We'll be right back after this short break.
My name is Harry Lynch. I'm the writer, director, and producer of Now Hear This. Now Hear This takes you to locations like you've never seen before and brings you great music from our most celebrated composers.
To Vivaldi.
Cheers. It's a chance to see and hear a lot of new and amazing things. PBS is the perfect home for this. There's no other network in the United States that does this kind of content. Programs like Now Hear This could not happen without your support. I'm a member of my local PBS station, and I hope that you will become one too. Thank you.
This week, President Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law, helping curb rising prices, fight climate change, and make medications cheaper for older adults. At least that's what the Democrats say. It will also establish a 15% corporate minimum tax and close loopholes often exploited by the wealthy to avoid tax debt. North Coast Congressman Jared Huffman lauded the legislation. Quote, "From the start, I have pushed for an economic package that would advance the president's full agenda and fulfill our promises to the American people," he said. According to Huffman, the legislation addresses several major issues facing his constituents: high drug prices and energy costs, health insurance coverage for millions, climate change, job creation, and modifying the tax code to ensure that corporations pay their fair share. Huffman said, quote, "This is by far the biggest step the U.S. has ever taken to combat climate change, but I know that this is by no means a mission accomplished moment." Huffman promised to keep pushing for more and better climate legislation. He said, quote, "There are still a lot of priorities that were left on the cutting room floor that I will keep advocating for, and we must get off the fossil fuel roller coaster that has been driving inflation and killing our planet once and for all." The filing period for Eureka City Council is now over, and the only candidates who submitted enough signatures to qualify in the race for mayor. That's a typo. Only one candidate submitted enough signatures to qualify in the race for mayor. Councilwoman Kim Burgell, we all know her. She'll run unopposed for the top job in city government. It was determined that another mayoral candidate, Mr. Parr, didn't have enough valid signatures to qualify. Councilwoman Leslie Castellano will run unopposed for re-election in Eureka's in Eureka's Ward 1. In Ward 3, accountant John Fullerton has qualified as a candidate, and he will face Eureka City Schools trustee G. Mario Fernandez for the seat. Mr. Fernandez is a figure in the Democratic Central Committee. In Ward 5, owner Nicholas Cole of Oberon Grill will face Renee Contreras Deloach. Before we go, 2 weeks ago, we featured an American Field Service operation and their call for families to consider hosting foreign exchange students this upcoming year. We've since been informed that the host family for one Thai student, Leo, has fallen through. If anyone listening is interested in helping this young man find a home for this year and have the experience of a lifetime, please call 822-1111. 822-1111. It would be a rewarding experience. He was set to go, got word, and bought a plane ticket. Since then, things have fallen through, and he could really, really use the help. Otherwise, stay tuned, stay informed.